There's a moment in reality TV when everything changes, not with a fight, not with a confession, but with a look, and during the season 19 Tell of Sister Wives, that moment came when Cody Brown leaned forward and said the words that dropped like a rock in a still pond. Cut the cameras. It wasn't just awkward, it wasn't just abrupt, it felt like a man losing control of a story he'd spent years trying to control. And right there watching from the side was Gwen, Christine's daughter, with a knowing little grin that said more than any scripted line ever could. Hi friends, this is me and you're watching Sister Wives. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps more people see it. And tell me in this comments, was that the moment you finally saw Cody for who he really is? Because if you've been following the journey of Sister Wives from day one, this wasn't just another dramatic reunion, this was the emotional collapse of the very foundation Cody spent years insisting was about love, unity, and faith. But as the camera zoomed out and his voice cracked through the silence, something became painfully clear. He's not the leader anymore, the dream is gone, the control slipping fast, and the women once overshadowed and silent aren't backing down. Not anymore. What happened in that tell-all wasn't just a reveal. It was a reckoning from the very beginning. Cody Brown sold one story louder than anything else: unity. One big family, one big house, and one big dream built on faith, teamwork, and love. That was the pitch, that was the fantasy back in the early seasons. He'd tell the camera and anyone who would listen that plural marriage wasn't just about romance. It was about building a tribe, a safe, self-sustaining community where sister wives supported each other and the kids grew up surrounded by love. And for a while some of us believed him, but somewhere between the move to Flagstaff and the tell all of season 19, that entire dream shattered, and not in slow motion. This thing crumbled like wet paper in a storm. Flagstaff was supposed to be a fresh start, a peaceful mountain escape, where they could finally come together. Instead, it was the beginning of the end. The waves felt isolated, the kids were pulled apart, and Cody, he started unraveling, blaming everything and everyone except himself. By the time the tell-all aired, he finally said it out loud. The dream is over. He admitted that his hope for one unified family had collapsed, and yet, even in that same breath, he clung to the illusion like it hadn't been dead for years. Fans watching floored not just by his denial but by how deeply disconnected he's become from the reality everyone else is living. It's like he's still fighting for a fantasy no one else signed up for anymore. If Cody's dream was already cracked, then his behavior during the all smashed whatever was left from the moment he sat down across from Suki, the vibe was off. You could see it in the way he held himself, arms crossed, face tight, eyes darting around like he was searching for a way out. His answers smug, short, dismissive at times. He just sat there in silence, letting the awkwardness speak louder than words, and when he did respond, it was often with a sneer or a half laugh. Like he was above it all. Dookie tried. She really did. Her questions weren't even that aggressive, but the second she brought up tough topics, his relationships with the ex-wives, how things fell apart, Cody shut down, dodged, redirected. It felt like watching a man trying to rewrite his own story in real time, hoping no one remembered how it actually played out. But fans remembered, and they weren't buying the act. What really stung was when he looked straight into the camera and said, "I'm content." Content while 3 of your wives are in visible pain, while your family is in ruins? That moment landed like a slap to the face. Online fans exploded, comment sections filled with people calling him delusional, heartless, out-of-touch. Viewers who once saw him as the glue holding this big, messy family together now saw someone barely holding himself together, emotionally walled off and clinging to pride. The man who once stood in the center of this complex family dynamic has slowly morphed into a symbol. What happens when ego replaces empathy? And as viewers, it's honestly heartbreaking to watch. He was supposed to be the leader. Instead, he's become a cautionary tale for years. Robyn Brown was painted as the emotional heart of the sister wives family. She cried the most, spoke in soft tones, always seemed the most vulnerable. She was introduced as the peacemaker, the newcomer who wanted to blend into the sisterhood with grace and humility. And back then, some fans really did feel for her. She was coming into a complex family dynamic, trying to find her place among women who had already built decades of history. But somewhere along the way, the story changed. Now, the sympathy has turned into suspicion. In season 19's tell, that shift became impossible to ignore. Robyn's constant emotional breakdowns felt rehearsed, her statements were carefully worded, and then came the camping trip incident, the moment that shattered what little trust some viewers had left. Christine, Mary, and Janelle recalled a family vacation where everyone was pitching in, making breakfast, hauling gear, while Robyn was off doing her own thing. According to them, she was doing makeup in the trailer. While they were struggling in the cold, Robyn, when asked about it, denied remembering anything like that. She claimed she didn't recall the moment at all, but fans did, and they had receipts on social media. An old clip surfaced showed Robyn plain as day applying her makeup during that very trip. The same trip, she claimed she didn't remember the same moment she said probably never happened, and just like that, the whole emotional act started to look a little too polished. Longtime viewers felt betrayed. It wasn't just the lie, it was the ease with which she told it, that selective memory, that soft-spoken denial, hit a nerve. People who had watched for over a decade felt like they were being gaslit by someone who's still pretending she's clueless, even when the footage proves otherwise. It's not just about mascara and a camper, it's about trust, and for many fans that trust is gone. It was one of those blink and you miss it moments, but for anyone paying attention, it said everything as Robyn scrambled to defend herself during the tell. All trying to downplay the camping trip memories that had just been exposed. Gwen sat off to the side, silent still, but with a faint, unmistakable smirk on her face. Not cruel, not mocking, just knowing, like someone who's seen too much to be surprised. Any more, that smile didn't need words, it spoke volumes right beside her. Suki tried to keep the tone respectful, but there was steel in her questions. Robyn was fumbling, and Suki didn't let her off the hook. Easily she pushed, not aggressively, but with a firmness that fans appreciated. For once someone wasn't accepting vague answers and polished tears. There was no escape hatch. Robyn was being held accountable even, if only lightly. Then came the line that turned everything, Cody's voice right after his farewell to the cameras, caught on a hot mic. "Cut the cameras, please." That moment wasn't just awkward, it was symbolic. For years Cody commanded the narrative. He directed scenes, guided who spoke and when, and shaped the story from within. But now, that quiet whisper felt like the last gasp of a man who realized the spotlight no longer obeys him. Fans heard that line and lost it. Online threads lit up with calls for a new host, someone tougher than Suki, who'd push harder, demand clearer answers, and call out deflection in real time. But maybe the bigger shift wasn't the host, it was the wives. Mary, Christine, Janelle, Gwen, even Suki. They're not shrinking back anymore. They've seen the game, they've felt the weight, and now they're reclaiming their place in the story. Cody's grip is slipping, and they're not scared of him anymore. When the tell-all wrapped, it should have brought closure, but instead it opened floodgates. Online forums, comment sections, podcasts. It was like a collective cry of enough. Viewers weren't just disappointed, they were outraged. The same old patterns had played out. Again, Cody deflecting blame, Robyn playing confused, and the women who carried the emotional weight for years barely getting space to speak. And fans were over it. You could feel the shift in the air. People weren't watching for drama anymore. They were watching for justice, for honesty, for anyone to stop pretending like Cody's version of events was the full picture. One user wrote, "Why do we keep giving Cody a platform to rewrite history? We saw what happened." Others echoed that frustration. It wasn't just about disliking a character, it was about feeling like the show itself was protecting him. And that's why fans started rallying for something new. Not a reboot, not more from Cody and Robyn. They wanted a spin-off, one focused on Christine, Mary, and Janelle, three women who had walked through fire, found their voices, and stepped into their own light. "I'd watch the hell out of a show with just the ex-wives living their best lives," another viewer commented. "That's the energy now. We're done waiting for Cody to change. We want to see women who already have." It brings back memories of when Tamron Hall was hosting the tell-alls. She asked the hard questions. She didn't tiptoe around Cody's fragile ego. And suddenly she was gone. That wasn't lost on viewers. People still talk about it, about how her direct style made Cody squirm, and how that might have been the real reason she didn't come back. That unspoken question still lingers. How much control does Cody really have over what makes it on air? So now, even with a new host, fans are watching closely, and while Suki did push back in moments, many feel she held back in others. There's a growing chorus asking for a host who won't let the hard truths slide, who won't edit around the pain, because the audience, we're not just here for messy family drama anymore. We're here for accountability, for transparency, for someone to finally say what so many viewers have been screaming for seasons: this isn't working. What's clear now is that the fans have outgrown the original narrative, the fantasy of unity, the idea that love and faith alone could hold a polygamous family together. That dream has crumbled, and while Cody clings to the ruins, the audience has moved on. We're following the women now, the ones who found their strength and walked away from the wreckage. We don't want excuses, we want growth in the end. This show has always been about relationships, and now it's about breaking free from the ones that kept people small. It's not about drama anymore, it's about truth. And the truth for many fans lives with the women, not the man who keeps rewriting the past. What we just witnessed wasn't just a family falling apart, it was the collapse of a carefully protected illusion. For years, Cody and Robyn tried to convince us this was about unity, love, and shared faith, but now that image is shattered. What's left is something raw, something real: a man spiraling, a woman losing credibility, and a family finally finding the courage to stop pretending. So here's the question, and I really want to know what you think. Do you believe Robyn genuinely forgot what she said on that camping trip, or was that just part of the act? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I'll be reading them, and I know we all need a space to process this chaos together. If you're into truthling, tea spilling, and real growth stories, don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe and follow along here on Sister Wives Show. I'm me, and I'll be here every step of the way as this saga keeps unfolding. And with the way things ended this season, awkward silences, shut-off cameras, and grinning daughters, you just know something big is coming. A spinoff, a reckoning.